What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for MLB playoffs Tuesday, October 6th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, MLB playoffs. Let's take a look at this 4-game main slate. So at the pitcher position, I've just got a gut feeling about this guy. I understand if you want to go with a pitcher like Tyler Glasnow or Framber Valdez. Those are the top pitchers on the slate. You got to pay up for those guys though. And a guy that's averaging almost around the same fantasy points per game here is Sandy Alcantara with a 14% pitching advantage over the Atlanta Braves. Sandy Alcantara, he's only giving up a .569 OPS versus righties. And he's facing 6 righties here tonight. On top of that, the Braves have only hit 9 of his last 37 pitches, batting a .243 batting average. You're going to save a lot of salary with this pick because he's only $7,800 FanDuel salary and $500 less on DraftKings. He's averaging 35 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 39, 47, and 37 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He has an ERA of 3. His record is 3-2 on the season, pitching an average of 95 pitches per game. He's projected at 24 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Sandy Alcantara here versus the Atlanta Braves. Okay, let's take a look at the first base position. I like Garrett Cooper with a 19% batting advantage over Max Fried. Garrett Cooper bats 13% better versus lefty pitchers. He's batting a .892 OPS versus lefties. And Max Fried pitches his worst ball versus righty batters. 6% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .721 OPS versus righties. Cooper is 2 for 6 with a .333 batting average and a .929 OPS versus Fried. He's $2,800 FanDuel salary and $700 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 19, 6, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's projected at 12.3 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Garrett Cooper here versus Max Fried. Okay, who do we have at the second base position? I'm going to give you a value play here. This guy's been on fire. I like Jake Cronenworth with a 41% batting advantage over Walker Buehler. Jake Cronenworth, he's batting 43% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .963 OPS versus righties. And Walker Buehler is giving up a .642 OPS versus lefties. Now he is 0 for 2, so he hasn't hit a ball yet versus Buehler, but it's a small sample size, and he's only $2,500 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,900 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. He's averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season, but take a look at his last 3 games. He scored 28, 16, and 18 fantasy points in his last 3 games, projected at 11.5 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Jake Cronenworth here versus Walker Buehler. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Alex Bregman with a small batting advantage here versus Sean Manaea. Alex Bregman bats 25% better versus lefty pitchers. He's batting a 1.085 OPS versus lefties. Now, Sean Manaea does throw his best ball versus righties, only giving up a .515 OPS versus righties. But Bregman is 6 for 23 with a 261 batting average and a 1.066 OPS versus Manaea. 3 of those 6 hits were for home runs. He's $3,600 FanDuel salary and $900 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 28, 6, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Projected at 11.3 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Alex Bregman here versus Sean Manaea. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. Another value play for you. I like Willie Adames with a 21% batting advantage over DV Garcia. Willie Adames, he's batting a .787 OPS versus righties. And Garcia throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 21% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a .776 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Garcia yet, and he's only $2,600 FanDuel salary, and he's $2,100 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. He's averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 3, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Projected at 9.3 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Willie Adames here versus DV Garcia. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I like Giancarlo Stanton with a 12% batting advantage over Tyler Glasnow. Stanton is batting a .886 OPS versus righties. And Tyler Glasnow throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 13% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a .663 OPS versus righties. Stanton is 3 for 6 with a 1.738 OPS versus Glasnow. He's $3,900 FanDuel salary and $700 more on DraftKings. He's averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's been on fire, scoring 32, 19, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's projected at 14 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Giancarlo Stanton here versus Tyler Glasnow. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.